I'm gonna call you right back anyway. Don't worry. That's the last thing that scammer said to me before he hung up. He thought that was a threat. What he didn't know was that he'd just declared war on the one person in America with nothing but free time, a stack of burner apps, and absolutely zero chill. By the end of that day, he wasn't laughing anymore. If you've ever wanted to know what happens when a scam call center picks a fight with exactly the wrong guy, stick around, because this story gets messy, it gets petty, and it ends exactly the way you're hoping it does. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. My name's Marcus. I'm 26, I work a normal 9 to 5 that I won't bore you with, and if you ask anyone who knows me, they'll tell you the same thing about my personality. I don't get offended. Like, genuinely, almost nothing gets under my skin. I grew up online, in group chats and comment sections where the entire culture was built on messing with people and not taking things personally. So when people try to insult me or troll me or push my buttons, it usually just makes me laugh. I'm not the guy you want to start something with, because I will not let it go, and I have an unreasonable amount of patience for pettiness when I feel like it's deserved. I'm telling you this up front because it matters for what happened next. A normal person probably would have just blocked the number and moved on with their life. I am not a normal person when it comes to this stuff, and that difference is the entire reason this story exists. So let me take you back to the Saturday that started it all. It was supposed to be a boring afternoon. I was messing around online, comparing health insurance options, not even trying to buy anything, just curious what was out there, what plans looked like, what the pricing was. You know how it goes. You land on one of those quote sites, and before they show you a single number, they want your name, your email, your zip code, and of course, your phone number. Now, I've been burned by this before. Years ago, I learned my lesson the hard way after giving out my real number to one of these sites and getting buried under robocalls for months afterward. So ever since, I've had a rule, fake number, every single time, no exceptions. I've got one memorized that I use for exactly this purpose. Except this time, the site had autofill enabled. I clicked next without double checking, and my actual number slipped through before I even realized what happened. I didn't think much of it, closed the tab, went back to my day. 20 minutes later, my phone started buzzing. Local number. I don't usually answer those, everyone knows the drill, spoofed local numbers are a scammer's oldest trick, but for whatever reason, I picked up. Immediately, before I could even get a full hello out, some guy launches into an insurance pitch. Fast talker. Scripted. The kind of energy where you can tell he's got a quota, and he's already 3 calls deep into disappointment. I decided to have a little fun with it. Dropped my voice into this ridiculous, over-the-top accent, half joke, half experiment to see if I could throw him off long enough to mess with him a bit before hanging up. He wasn't having it. Bro, I know that's you, he said, completely flat. Your voice sounds terrible, man. Busted. I laughed, dropped the act, and told him straight up, not interested, take me off your list, don't call again. His response is what really set the tone for everything that came after. I'm gonna call you right back anyway. Don't worry. And I remember just sitting there staring at my phone for a second like, did this guy really just say that to me? Like it was a threat. Like I was supposed to be scared of getting called again. Sure enough. A few minutes later. Different number. Same voice. This is the part of the story where things stopped being funny and started being personal. The second call turned into an argument fast. He wasn't backing down, I wasn't backing down, and things escalated the way these things do when 2 stubborn people refuse to hang up first. And then he said something that genuinely caught me off guard. Out of nowhere, this guy started making assumptions about my race, based on nothing but the sound of my voice on a phone call. And he didn't stop there. He started making disturbing, ugly comments referencing real police violence against Black Americans, like it was something to joke about. Like it was funny. I sat there for a second, just processing what I'd actually heard. Because here's the thing about me, I genuinely don't get offended easily. Someone can call me names, make fun of me, whatever, I'll laugh with them. But this wasn't that. This was a grown man, on what I assumed was a monitored, recorded work line, casually saying something that vile to a total stranger for no reason other than his own entertainment. That's when I stopped thinking of this as a mildly annoying spam call. That's when it became personal. I remember putting my phone down on the counter and just standing there for a second. I had the whole day off. Nowhere to be. Nothing on the schedule. And I made a decision right then that I was going to dedicate however much of that day it took to making sure this call center regretted every single word that guy had just said to me. Not because I needed the validation. Not because I was hurt. But because somebody like that, somebody who thinks he can say whatever he wants to a stranger because there's a screen and a phone line between them, needed to understand that sometimes the person on the other end bites back. So I started calling back. The first few calls were pure chaos on my end. I wasn't trying to buy anything, wasn't trying to negotiate, wasn't trying to be reasonable. Every time an agent picked up, I threw the conversation completely off script, calling out their tactics, refusing to let them get a word of their pitch out, needling them until they got flustered. It didn't take long. After enough of these calls, they did the thing these centers do when a number becomes more trouble than it's worth. They added me to their internal do not call list. Most people would have called that a win and gone back to their Saturday. I wasn't most people. Not that day. Because here's the thing, being on their do not call list just meant they'd leave me alone. It didn't mean anything had actually changed for them. It didn't mean the guy who made those comments faced a single consequence. And it definitely didn't mean the next stranger who picked up the phone wouldn't get the exact same treatment I got. So I decided to flip the entire dynamic. If they were going to spend their days aggravating strangers for a paycheck, I was going to spend my day off making sure they experienced exactly what that felt like, deliberately and on repeat. I spent the next hour and a half doing something I'm not even a little ashamed of, downloading every free calling app one could find on the App Store. Sign up, get a number, make calls. The second they figured out who I was and blocked that number, which happened fast every single time, I'd delete the account, make a new one, grab a fresh number, and call right back. Over, and over, and over. By the time I was done, I'd burned through somewhere around 12 or 13 different numbers. And with every single one, I watched the exact same pattern play out. The confident, scripted opening lines. The recognition in their voice once they realized it was me again. The scramble to stay composed. And eventually every time the crack. The stumbling over words. The stuttering. The irritation bleeding through the professional tone they'd been trained to keep up. If you're going to try to mess with someone who trolls for fun, you'd better bring your A game. These guys did not bring their A game. I started keeping mental notes on who I was talking to, because after a while I was cycling through the same handful of agents. There was Daniel. There was Christopher. There was Casey. There was another guy whose name started with J that I never fully caught. Each one handled getting called out differently. Some got aggressive, some got sloppy and started slipping up on their script. Some just went quiet and tried to wait me out. And then there was Eli. Eli was different from the first call I got him on. No insults. No racist garbage. No losing his cool, even when I was actively trying to derail the conversation. Just calm, professional, measured responses. The kind of agent who sounds like he's actually just trying to get through his shift without any of the drama his coworkers were clearly generating for themselves. And I'll be honest with you, after a few rounds of getting Eli on the line, I started feeling something I genuinely didn't expect going into this: guilt. Not for the operation as a whole. The center had earned every second of chaos I was bringing them, no question. But Eli hadn't done anything. He hadn't said a single thing out of line. He was just a guy answering phones, catching heat that had nothing to do with him, purely because of bad luck in who picked up when I called back. So after that, whenever I landed on Eli, I stopped the games completely. I'd just apologize, tell him this wasn't about him, and hang up. No trolling, no chaos, nothing. He didn't deserve to be caught in the crossfire of a fight that started with someone else entirely. It's a small detail, but I think it matters. This wasn't about being cruel to random people. It was about making the people who'd actually crossed a line feel exactly what that felt like. By the end of my 2 hours, something had completely shifted. The center that had confidently told me, "I'm going to call you right back anyway, don't worry," was now the one scrambling, blocking number after number, clearly rattled, clearly done dealing with me. And then nothing. 2 full days of silence. No local numbers lighting up my screen. No scripted pitches interrupting my afternoon. No more comments about things that should never have come out of anyone's mouth on a work call in the first place. For the first time since that autofill glitch let my real number slip through, my phone was just mine again. Quiet. Normal. Exactly how it should have been from the start. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I was some innocent bystander in all of this. I had complete control the entire time. I chose to spend 2 hours of my day off doing this, and honestly, I enjoyed almost every minute of it. So I'm not trying to frame myself as a victim, but there's something genuinely satisfying about watching people who make a living off aggravating strangers, who think there's no accountability because it's just a voice on a phone, finally get a taste of the exact chaos they hand out every single day. The guy who said what he said to me clearly thought there'd be zero consequences. He thought I'd just hang up, block the number, and that would be that. He learned that day that sometimes persistence beats intimidation. Sometimes the best response to someone trying to rattle you isn't anger. It's outlasting them completely, on their own turf, using their own tactics right back at them. And if nothing else, I like to think that somewhere in that call center, there's a guy who thinks twice now before saying something like that to the next stranger who picks up the phone. If this story had you cheering by the end, smash that like button right now, and drop a comment telling me, what's the most savage thing you've ever done to a scam caller who crossed the line? I want to hear it. And if you enjoyed this one, subscribe, because next week we've got another story of well-earned payback headed your way.